There are public relations disasters. Your product causes safety, security, and privacy problems. I mean, Boeing has this. Whenever they have a plane goes down for any reason, it is an enormous problem. It it's a public perception problem, and it's enormous amount of work for them to uh, uh, to go study the problem, find the root cause. People are grounding airplanes. It's the nightmare of all nightmares. Usually, you're not in that position of Boeing, neither so public nor are the consequences so dramatic of your product failure. But it can be uh, uh, a, uh, a big issue if you have a product in that kind of a position. I mean, it could be that your camera system is used in autonomous vehicles, and some flaw in your product is suspected of causing uh, uh, highway injuries or deaths. That's pretty serious. You're going to get sucked into that, and that's going to be a hard one. I talked about the United flight. That's just terrible because it's widely seen. And a lot of these things are associated with the being widely seen. Sometimes it can be indirect. Who is it? What? Solar Flare is a piece of key infrastructure, not a huge company, but when they go out, the whole internet goes down, and that people are talking about your company for bad reasons. But Facebook goes down. Oh, Theranos is a poster child. Was so eager to be uh, perceived as having a medical testing breakthrough that they did a lot of leaning forward in projecting what could be true. And they got so committed to that vision of what their product was going to do, they started directly falsifying results and defrauding customers and investors. And they took that glass half full view of what they were going to be able to do way, way, way too far. Or your technology domain, not just what you're doing, but the whole area that you're pursuing becomes a public symbol of bad social impact. Doing face rec in China is a good thing. The government really has invested in it heavily, and partly as a backlash to that Big Brother view. Face recognition has become a really big issue, and in Europe even more than in other parts of the world. And if you happen to be dedicated to face recognition as a technology, you're dealing with a technology domain that in some sense has become poisoned by perceptions not of your making. And you have to figure out what to do about it. You are an unwitting victim of the domain becoming untouchable. So you may have to redirect. So what do you do about it? There are golden rules. There are things that you should write on your hand so that you know. Take responsibility. Don't cover it up. Say, yes, this problem is happening, and yes, we are going to take responsibility for it, and make sure that people see that. So you want to be as proactive, as transparent, as accountable, and as human as possible. And even before you know what to do about it, apologize for it. Don't wait until you've worked it out. Don't wait until you can say, well, it was really this one line of code, or it was this one supplier who failed us. Ask yourself the question, how would I feel if this happened to me? And humanize it a little bit. Understand other people's perspective. So get ahead of the story, react fast. Make sure that your customers are hearing about the problem from you and not from news reports. Try to understand the situation, monitor it, plan it, communicate. Never say no comment. No comment is legal phrase that says, I don't want to admit to anything because I might be sued over it. You should not be worrying about the suits. You should be worrying about your reputation as a company. But be ready for the fact that there may be a backlash. You may get sued, in which case the fact that you did everything in your power to mitigate the issue is really a key part of your defense. Social media can be so abusive that even if you had no real role to play in the origins of the problem, you may be blamed for it. You need to be alert to what's happening. If you're not active across a wide range of social media, you may need to get active just so that you can monitor what's being said about you and can communicate your story if it is picked up there. There are preventative things that you can do. You will have less problem with the repercussions of a PR crisis if you're close to your customers, if you have credibility with your customers, if you listen to your customers, if you listen to the team, if you maintain good communication channels with them. And be prepared, particularly if your company is visible. And the more successful you are, the more visible you will be. You want to be visible. Valuation grows with visibility. But part of being visible is that you will get sucked into a wider range of PR crises, both because any small flaw may be visible and because there's a kind of blast radius around other people's crises that you may get pulled into. If Facebook has a leak, then if you're at TikTok, you may get blamed for it as well. There's something called the Krebs principle that is a good first approach. Tell it all, tell it fast, and tell the truth. Don't sugarcoat it too much. Don't delay until you have every fact right. Get out there and say something. So what are the takeaways? It's not always about how do you avoid every crisis. You will have some crises, but your response defines what happens with your whole company sometimes. Stay calm, mind the gap, be transparent internally, be transparent with your customers, be transparent with your board of directors or your investors as needed, and develop a plan, communicate the plan, project a sense that this is not the end of the world, unless it is the end of the world, in which case tell people this is the end of the world. This is going to kill the company. Let's wind it down gracefully. That's extraordinarily unlikely, but staying calm through the whole thing is important. The internal team dynamics are important. This can be the source of a founder crisis or a leadership crisis if people are blaming one another internally rather than trying to just solve the problem. So both legal and PR missteps, bugs, product failures, all need to be handled with honesty and speed. And great companies often emerge as a result of the improved communication, the improved sense of purpose, the improved proof of toughness that comes from these major crises. So you shouldn't run from them. I'm not saying you should welcome them, but you can get a lot out of it in terms of what it does for you. And there are some resources. There's a bunch of things in terms of articles and YouTubes and even some things on archive that give you some sense of it. I love the idea of the best managed PR crisis. I think that somebody publishes this list annually, and it's worth a read so you get a sense of what people do in these. And these, of course, for the best managed PR crises, tend to be big company crises, but you can still project yourself into